Craziest day on the job.
Right, working in that now, and she's here to talk to us today about how to self-publish like a pro. Roseanne?
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here. I emailed the publisher right away, and actually my project manager right away and say, you know, I'm not really impressed with the marketing person's phone call with myself. I like to swap out that marketing consult to something else related to marketing and PR. And they were cool with it. And they said, sorry, Roseanney, sorry you feel that way. Would you like to take a free press release in lieu of that marketing consult? And I said, sure, let's do that. So what's the point? The point is, if you get a package fee and you're not happy with something, you need to have the wherewithal to speak up right away. Because maybe you can swap out for something else that's of equivalent value with a company. Or at least you need to have the power to say, you know, I'm not really happy with the professionalism here. What can we do about it? So in dealing with an indie press, you need to be able to speak up and say when you're not happy or impressed with something. Share that with the editor so that they don't put in too many commas or edit down into this concise prose, because it's stream of consciousness, right? So does your novel have a southern twang or southern accent? That's a nuance you want to share. Does yours have cursing and cussing? Is that part of the storyline for this scene? Those are nuances you want to share with your editor so they don't over-edit your stuff, because that's one of the nuances, right? Do the characters speak in a certain vernacular that's very particular to them? You don't want them to over-edit there. So these are nuances you want to share before they sample edit your stuff. Another author or book blogger, you might want to cultivate that relationship even while you're writing the book. Right. So you'll be able to say truthfully, hey, I've been following your blog for a while. Oh. I noticed that you write, you review poems or that you review recipe books. Right. My book is coming out in 3 weeks. Would you mind reviewing it? So having that relationship built in even before your book is launched is very key. Then they'll be like, oh, you've been following me, cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'd love to read your book. Okay. And then you offer maybe a free copy to one of their readers that they can pass out however they want to.
It's a given. It's a given.
That's what happens when you self-edit. You either catch the mistakes every time you read it, or you don't catch them. So either way, it's bad. It's a lot of wasted time and effort. So from that mistake, I learned, gee, next time I really need a professional editor. Eyes beside yourself. You really want to get out of your own head, because you're reading your stuff all day long, right? You're not going to see your mistakes. You're not going to hear, this sounds weird or awkward. Somebody else is going to be able to tell you that when they read your stuff. So you definitely want to have your manuscript professionally edited. That's what I learned with my first book.
Yeah, you read what you thought you wrote.
Yeah.
Not what you actually wrote.
Exactly. Like your eyes kind of just skip over that, right? You just make assumptions in your head like, well, that sounds good. That's exactly what I sound like, right? To go with the indie press or vanity press route like this is that you'll probably get one project manager, like I did. You probably won't get to talk to or see or even Skype the cover designer, editor, and formatter. You deal with your one project manager. They're your eyes and ears to that company. So you really want to have a good relationship and be very communicative with your PM, your project manager at this indie press. Because they're serving as your eyes and ears, you want to make sure you and that person are on the same page so that they're communicating your needs perfectly to the rest of their team, whom you don't see. Either way, I definitely learned that I need to get a professional editor, and you should too, because like you said, you know, you're in your own head. You can't see the awkwardness or the mistakes in your manuscript, but a professional editor can. you may want to get a sample edit, which is not something I got before because I didn't know that a sample edit existed. That's something I learned after the fact. What's a sample edit? Does anybody know? Matt, can you share with us what a sample edit is? And everything can be done in 3 to 4 months, whereas with the traditional publisher, you're spending at least 9 months to a year and a half before you even have the hard copy in your hand. I was going to mention that you're cultivating a following now, your tribe now, even before your book is published. So as your following gets bigger and bigger and bigger in your Facebook group or in your following or in your blog, you could be a really successful self-published author because you have that support from your tribe. So in fact, you can make, in terms of money, you can make as much money as a 6-figure author who's supported by Random House. So the key thing is to cultivate your following now, even as you're writing your manuscript. You might also want that experience as well. Yes. And here's the thing, either way, you need to have a readership and a fan base. Why would a publisher want to pick up your book and say, yeah, Mr. and Miss Agent, let me represent, what's your name, sir? Bob. Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, Bob's manuscript sounds fantastic. Here's a contract, let's sign him today. It's not as easy as say you have a great manuscript. They also want to know, does Bob have a readership, a fan base that he could immediately sell his books to? Because without that, I don't know how confident the publisher will be in offering you that contract. So I don't necessarily think self-publishing is an ugly stepchild to traditional publishing, because either way, you need to come with your own fan base. Writers groups, they often have their own in-house group of beta readers, and you kind of read each other's manuscript every week you're adding on to. So there's your built-in group of beta readers. And if you belong to Facebook groups of writers, I belong to so many writers groups on Facebook, and you could call and ask for beta readers in those groups as well. And people are reading each other's stuff all the time. It's free, and you definitely, that's actually a good idea to have not your friends and not necessarily people who read that genre to read your manuscript, because then you can test out its readability across the readership that's not reading cookbooks or that's not reading YA, just to test that readability. So,
even if your book is for like a specialized market,
clinical,
you should still have people.
Yeah, because if I'm not in the marriage counseling market, or if I'm not coming from the foster home, your readership, I still need to be able to understand what you're saying in your book. So me as a beta reader would be helpful in that respect, so that I can understand, okay, you're using all these acronyms and jargon, but do I really understand what you're saying? People could download that when they drop an email on my website. They can get free videos, tips on how to work with designer and editor when they drop an email. But my preferred one is Facebook page and Facebook group. And there are some authors who, weeks leading up to the launch of the book, they might run a Facebook ad. I've also done Amazon ads. So you could do any of the above. But I will strongly advise pick 1 or 2 and really focus the effort on that 1 or 2 tactic and see how it goes. If you see that you're getting engagement and it's working out, and that you're getting some bites there, then you might want to spend more time or money there as opposed to spending all your time and money across 5 different channels. Do you know what I mean? So here's version 1 of what they came back with after I filled out the questionnaire. First, they definitely got the parent-child figure nailed down. They have the title that popped, our author names that pop, and the subtitle is a little bit obscure, but you see the chalkboard thing that it's kind of the elementary school thing that I was going for. I like the dark green background. I like the writings on the board that denote, oh, it's elementary school writing, chalkboard, sure. And I see the bright sun ahead on the path that the child and the parent are walking to. So the basic elements were covered. And then we went through several iterations. So by the 3rd round, you see it's not just a parent and child, it's my husband and my daughter. And, I don't know why that didn't occur to me. Okay, it occurred to me because I saw this and I realized, but my daughter's a co-author, Morgan Getting. Why wouldn't I want her to be on the cover? And I thought, well, me on the cover with her, that might be a little too much, and I didn't want to be on the front cover. I wanted to be on the back cover. So I figured, okay, it's okay, but let me put my spouse and my child up there because it just made sense to me by the 3rd round. So by then you see the subtitle popped a little more than the first two rounds, and the main characters completely changed. And do you see anything that's a major blunder mistake in version 3? Which you will too, if you decide to do completely self-publishing route with a create space. You will have total control, but there's also a lot of, I don't know what I don't know. And until I make mistakes or somebody tells me, I won't know that I need to learn that. So that's why I'm glad you're here, so you can learn from my mistakes on my journey and ask questions. The more informed you are, the better prepared you will be on your self-publishing journey if you decide self-publishing is right for you.
They'll do your work for you and send you updates. And it's amazing. I've never used them, but I have a buddy who did. He was really happy with them.
The only thing, I agree, the only thing you want to be mindful for is that I want to make sure I have no language barrier with someone from Slovakia or India or Thailand who's doing my stuff for $5. Whereas for my cover designers here and for my third book, Craziest Day on the Job, I know language barrier is not a barrier. I know they completely understand me when I'm communicating nuances for my cover. So I didn't have a problem with my Indian formatter who formatted this book because formatting, it's pretty straightforward. There's no nuances there. But with my cover design, you just want to make sure, A, are you cool with the time zone difference? B, do they completely understand what you're going for in your cover, barring any language barrier? So yeah, just want to be very cautious.
Top right corner is wrong.
Yes! 6 plus 5 plus 3 equals 8? No! Right? God, if I didn't catch that, how embarrassing would that be? But I caught it.
I can't see that far.
Thank you. So if there's anything weird or wrong or unequivocally off, when you're self-publishing or even with an indie press, they can make mistakes. And it's up to you to catch that and tell them because obviously they didn't catch it, right? A cover designer will make mistakes, so will you, but you just have to go through it as with fresh eyes as much as possible. Maybe you have somebody else look at it before you go to print, right? Do it cheaper than this? Absolutely. Can you do some of those things by yourself? Yes. But do you really have the expertise in those areas is what you need to ask yourself. I didn't. I can't design anything by myself. I can't format, and I could edit, but I really shouldn't edit my own stuff. So I paid what I thought was reasonable to have those things professionally done. The distribution channel, which is Ingram Spark. How many of you have heard of Ingram Spark? Yes. And the other big distribution channel is Baker Taylor. Do is look at the cover art for the books in your genre, maybe in the bookstore or Amazon. See what draws your eye. And then if you like a cover, you flip to the inside or back cover of the book that you like and reach out to that cover designer because usually the cover designer's credit is inside the book or on the back cover. So you will have ways of finding and reaching out to the designer that you like. So you can find the books that you like by browsing through the shelves. Like I said, I found mine on creativepen.com. He was a referral. You can also find designers on 99designs.com and bookcoversale.com. However you find it, you definitely want to check out their portfolio and see if you like their stuff. If they have designed for something in your subgenre, let's say, if you like their style. And for this book, it took 8 iterations, so 8 rounds of back and forth. And that took a total of 7 days to turn around, which is super quick. I was astounded at how quick that was, considering he's 9 hours ahead of me. And there was a lot of back and forth. But from beginning to end, to the finished design that I liked was only 7 days. So I was extremely happy with my working relationship with this designer. Yep, as I said, when you are querying designers before you decide who to use, you want to ask, what is their fee? What does the fee cover? How many revisions, major and minor, does that fee cover? What is your idea of major, minor? Might be different from their idea of major and minor. Just a second, I'll come back to you. How many rounds of edits does that fee cover? How long will it take to see the first concept? How long would it take to get to see the edited version back after you have some communication? So all of these things are questions that you need to ask and be on the same page with before they start designing. You may not like the first sample thing that they did in terms of formatting. You may want the raised cap a different way, or you may want the chapter outline or the chapter number to be formatted a different way. You might want wider margins or smaller margins. You might want larger font or a different kind of font. Whatever it is, you can expect some back and forth between you and the project management when it comes to formatting. Same with cover design. So, yep.
So what's the trim size?
It's the size of the book, say 6x9 or 5.5 by 8.5. Yeah. So there are some typical standard sizes that are carried by Ingram Spark and publisher. If you want something that's really unusual, say for like a photo book, then that would be a completely different trim size, and you need to ask your publisher, can you do that? Publishing websites, Publishing Association of LA has a monthly meeting in Culver City. I go to that pretty regularly. There's lots of Facebook pages about publishing and writing that you could subscribe to for free. Attending writers' conferences and other things, speaker series like this one that you come to regularly, the speaker series, and build your email list and your Facebook group. That's an ongoing thing. So some of these things you're already doing, and just pick the ones that make most sense to you, but definitely continue the marketing effort in terms of building your readership and your fan base. The new marketing that I am doing is I have a freebie download to build a list of followers on my website. I give them free list of publishing resources and book marketing resources via this PDF that I automatically send to them once they subscribe to my email list on my website. The idea is to build my email list. So I have that going on. I have a new Facebook group called Write It, Speak It, Teach It, where people could, we are a sounding board for other people who are writing or teaching or speaking or teaching about something related to nonfiction or workshopping. So it's a great group for us to give and get feedback about what we're working on. I first communicated what I want on the cover in late July 2016, and I saw the first iteration a week later. Do I think that's pretty fast? I do. I mean, it's hard to say. Some cover designers may take longer, some faster, but I thought a week to see the first concept design was reasonable. And overall, a lot of back and forth. I said, I like this, take this out, do this, do that. So back and forth between me and my project manager to tell the cover designer was about 3 weeks. And we looked at 6 revisions or 5 revisions after the first concept, so 6 iterations. Readers, you can also approach other reviewers who previously reviewed on Amazon books similar to yours. So you email them and ask them, hey, I can send you a free e-copy of my book. My book is launching this Friday, or give them a lot more time actually.
Give them more
Give them
time.
at least 3 weeks, 3 weeks of lead time. And ask them, hey, I noticed that you read XYZ book, which is very similar to mine coming out in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Could I send you a free e-copy and maybe you could review it for me on launch day? And if they're a blogger, if they're a book blogger, offer them some incentive. Like, could you guest blog on their blog? Could you offer a free book for one of their readers that they could do whatever kind of drawing that they want? So you definitely want to have a mutually beneficial relationship with a reviewer or blogger that's reviewing your book. And how to find them, as I said, is through Amazon for people who've reviewed other works that's similar to yours. I've been cultivating even before the book launches. You want to do that with other authors that write similar thing as you. And so they know you follow them, you're engaging their Facebook page as well, you're posting on their stuff as well. They're very likely to say, yes, I'd be happy to review your book for you. I'd be happy to tell my followers to buy your book, when you have been cultivating that relationship because you're posting on their stuff, you're liking their post, you're having real engagement. So they're more likely to say, yes, yes, Lyndon, I'd be happy to read your advanced reader copy. Yes, I'd be happy to read your copy, Al, and tell all my readers about it. So that's a relationship you need to cultivate now. even as you're writing your manuscript or definitely before your book launches. After looking at their portfolio, say you want to move forward and getting a quote, you want to ask them what the timeline is to see the first concept. You want to see what your idea versus their idea, major versus minor revisions are, and what's a turnaround on that. You want to get the cost, of course. You're looking at their portfolio, and you're sharing information with them about your cover, which is the readership I'm trying to reach is X. For my elementary school book, I'm trying to reach parents because they're the ones buying the book. They're the ones with Amazon access. They're the ones shopping for their children. So I share that with the cover designer. And any other nuances, right? If you want particular things to be in the cover, you want to say that to your designer. And you want to ask them, are they doing the covers only, front and back, or are they doing interiors as well? For my third book, I know my designer will be doing the interiors as well, because there will be some call-out boxes and maybe some interesting formatting that's above and beyond my first two books. And I know she does interior design for formatting as well. So if that's something that you want, you definitely want to ask your cover designer, hey, can you also do the interior? No? Yes? And then mark it on yours. My background is nonfiction writing, so when I'm writing something, I think about what is the pain point I'm trying to help my audience solve. Is it someone with a small kitchen that doesn't know how to make do with their small kitchen? Right. Is it someone in the YA field, and what are they learning as an older millennial? You know, what is the problem you're solving with your book of poems, let's say? So, you know, if it's nonfiction, I'm thinking about the audience in mind. What are they getting from my book? What is some kind of problem I can solve for them? Mm-hmm. So that's my impetus for writing a nonfiction. School book. Besides answering all the questions, I shared with my project manager, I definitely want to see a parent and child on the cover because the book is written from parents and a child's perspective. Parents being myself and the parents I've interviewed and as education experts. I told my publisher or my project manager that I want to see some kind of brightness, like bright path or bright future associated with the parent-child figures on the cover. I told her I want to see some kind of classroom or elementary school props so that people walking by can tell, oh yeah, that's obviously for age 5 through 10, right? And I want the title to really pop. So these are the elements, nuances that you want to share with your cover designer. This is what I shared with. And this is what you need to pay attention. When you get iterations back from your designer, you're responsible for catching everything. So you need to look at it with fresh pair of eyes or have somebody else look at it with you. If you're going with an indie publishing, the contract for, if you're engaging their designer, the contract will probably say your fee covers X number of concepts or iterations. So you want to read that carefully so you know exactly what you're getting and what you're not getting. Bob. You might go through a lot of iterations for your cover. As I'm interviewing people for a craziest day on the job, I may not stay with this cover. As I get to know more stories, there might be a theme coming up or something surprising that comes up. So when you're self-publishing, you're free to change the cover anytime you want that you think fits your story. You don't have to stick with what you started with originally. This just worked for now because I'm using it as a postcard for marketing purpose to pass out to people and say, hey, if you would like to be interviewed by me, just so they can have a visual to tie the idea of this book with. So you do not have to stay with a cover if during the process of writing you feel like something else, another element or other elements should be included or taken away. If media tells you have to pay them, don't do it. That's very suspicious. I want to share with you the media I have done. So these are some of the media stuff I've done the week that I was launching my 2 books. I have a friend who has a couple friends who have radio stations or podcasts. So my daughter and I were interviewed by her. We were interviewed by the Beach Reporter the week of the launch of both books. Christopher Lynch, who I think has spoken here before, one of my author mentors, he interviewed us for his blog for our book as well. So you definitely want to reach out to whoever in the media that you know. The people of the authors and experts I follow, I asked 6 of them if they would read 1 to 2 chapters of the elementary school book, and if they like it, if they could provide me a review or testimonial for the back cover. One sheet done on your book. A graphic designer could do that, where you're including on this one sheet, similar to my speaker sheet, which some of you have. It's just a one sheet of sales sheet that tells the bookstore manager and the library circulation manager or whoever's in charge of getting books in. A little bit about the book, its synopsis, any great reviews that you have about the book, any media you have done for the book, the details on the book, its ISBN format, where people could get it, Ingram Spark or Baker Taylor.